Okay, so the reported 10 best change management models in 2023, and this evening we're going to just briefly look at 4 of them, the 4 that are highlighted in green. Okay, so Lewin's change model, which I used in the amalgamation of 2 schools in the past, in my past career: unfreeze, change, and refreeze. And it's self-explanatory in many ways. So when you're unfreezing, you're analyzing every step of your process to identify the potential improvements across every organizational perspective you can, and the perceptions that people have of what organization is and should be, the potential changes and the possible resistance, because resistance, if not rolled out properly, resistance can cause the change process to come a cropper. So eliminate the existing biases and identify the commonly accepted mistakes, preferably preempt any resistance. Then we're looking at the actual change. Lewin says learning is more effective when it's an active rather than a passive process. So we're all learning across the lifespan. We're all learning across our career span. So education and support and communication has got to be in there in that whole change process. And when the change is in vogue, being worked, the systems and frameworks are in place, we're now ready to refreeze the new. So we refreeze the new status quo. And if feedback has been enacted, the refreeze should be easier. And also, if we accept and invite and accept feedback from a workforce, we're more likely to get buy-in and for that change to succeed. And it just doesn't stop there. It's a continuous, iterative thing of reviewing, checking in, making adjustments to make sure that we actually succeed. Okay, now let's look at McKenzie's 7S model. It's great for analyzing how coherent a company or any organization is. If you're uncertain of the direction you're going to take, this is the one to take on board. You analyze 7 aspects of your company, starting at 12 o'clock, the actual structure, moving on to the systems, the styles in vogue and that work well in your organization, and some styles that may not work too well and that you'd love to get rid of maybe. Then you look at the staff, right across from the newest incoming member to the oldest, longest standing staff member, and see how you can synergize the good from both. Look at the skills. A skill is something learned to carry out a task. However, competence comes with practice and with experience. So what's a competency? It's the KSAs, the knowledge, skills, and abilities, and the behavior or performance at a superior level of operation. So if I'm ill and I go to my doctor and he tells me he's going to refer me to a consultant who's highly competent, I get that warm glow inside that I'm going to be going to somebody who knows what he's talking about, who's experienced, and I can trust and depend on. And then you look at the strategies in place in the organization and how they can be reviewed, maybe replaced, some of them replaced and upped in order to meet the demands of the future. Okay, so changes needed will emerge towards creating a unified approach to any business. And remember, even if you're in the world of education, it is still based on the business model. Okay. Let's look at Kotter's theory. This is the 8-point plan. And I like this because it focuses less on change and more on the human, the person, the people behind it. It has one drawback for me in that it is top down. It is the leader who establishes the vision for the future and sets the strategy in getting it there. And unless you have a compassionate, dynamic, authentic, and transparent and radically transparent leader, it can actually come a cropper. So you create the sense of urgency, you build the guiding coalition, you form a strategy or a vision and initiatives. You enlist a volunteer army with you. So you get the early adopters and you get them to be your wingmen. At 6 o'clock, you're down here, you're enabling action by removing barriers. How do you remove barriers? That's critical. Do you remove them by brute force and therefore gain up even more entrenched opposition? Or do you cajole people along with you? You generate short-term wins and you celebrate these wins. How do you eat an elephant? One bite at a time, one bite at a time. Same goes for this. You celebrate the small wins as you go and you keep people enthused. You sustain the acceleration and then you institute the change. Again, it's top down, may not work in today's world of organizations so well. I love this one because I think this one belongs everywhere. It's the nudge. It's a mindset approach. It's indirect. It's subtle. It's open-ended, it's educational, it's evidence-based, it's optional, it's open to discussion. So, bottom left corner, you define the changes. And you look at the changes from your employee's point of view. What do you think? What do you think? Use a democratic style of leadership. You get everybody's opinion on board. And you try your best to include the best of what you get. You show the best option with evidence. We're big into our data and our evidence-based structures these days. You present the change and again ask, what do you think? Get buy-in, and if the change doesn't work, the blame game is eliminated. Well, we agreed this, but let's look at it again. Let's look at it again and we'll try a new way if the old way that we had decided to go with didn't work. You listen for feedback. You limit the obstacles, preferably by preempting them and getting there before they become a real obstacle and a real, maybe a downer in the enthusiasm for change. And then you use short-term wins to keep the momentum going. So you can see little elements of all the others in that. I love this one because I would take it with me in any choice of approach. 62% of employees don't like leaving their comfort zone. What does that imply? It implies that the 38% remaining are really excited and giddy about the change and leading to increased job satisfaction, heightened engagement, and productivity. So we see the importance of getting buy-in for engagement. Looking at the psychological underpinnings of change. Organizational change is difficult. Why? Because people don't like uncertainty. And we know that the only certainty going forward in the world of work today is uncertainty. So it's so important that we look at what is causing this uncertainty in people not wanting to move forward. Change initiatives can be long and drawn out. Employees are rarely sufficiently prepared through training and education. Look at the COVID period and how we had to pivot literally overnight and what that caused in terms of trauma. Brian Halligan, the CEO of HubSpot, in 2022, he said, humans have radically changed the way they work and the way they live. Companies need to change the way they manage and lead to match the way that modern humans actually work and live. That's worth noting because it's a lovely segue into what we're going to look at now with immunity to change mapping. Keegan and Lahi, they've said there is no doubt that change makes people uncomfortable. The change that is making you uncomfortable now means you are accepting the change. You're feeling uncomfortable, so you've been pushed out of your comfort zone and you're already on track to maybe look a bit deeper. So uncovering your immunity to change, you can create lasting change through meaningful goals by exploring your unconscious resistance to change. What is it that's causing you to say, no, this doesn't make me feel good? It can be done by creating a personal immunity to change map. So you will learn today how to identify the obstacles you need to solve to reach a productive solution. Recognize unconscious goals you falsely rely on to protect yourself. And that word falsely needs to be underlined. Acknowledge your psychological immune system that protects you from change. Is it really protecting you? Is it doing you a favor? So the materials, as I've sent on to you, is the ICT map, the actual roadmap, and your goals, hence as to how you set your goals. This is only a taster today because this is a program that we produced that could be run over 10 sessions. So in a nutshell, the immunity to change approach is designed to shine a light on the hidden parts of us, our unconscious drivers. And in doing so, it enables us to see what the actual problem is that we are needing to solve, because without truly understanding the problem, we can't get to a productive solution. Now, most of us focus on our need to change behaviors, but is it behaviors really that are the problem? The immunity to change has come with a different idea. It's not that we can't change our behaviors. The problem is that we're weak-willed, and that's an area that Cindy will look at later with you. The problem is that we have an unconscious goal to protect ourselves, which produces the very behaviors that are guaranteed to keep us from accomplishing our goals. So we're minding ourselves too well, and in so doing, we're stuck. So the mind, just like the body, has an immune system. It's out of our awareness, and it has one purpose, and that one purpose is to protect us. Most of the time, it's working perfectly well. It's keeping us out of trouble, but really, is it holding us back? We're not really aware of it. We have to really want to change. Once we identify that want, that need, and we articulate it, we're on the journey. So no matter how hard we even try to change, if our immune system is implicated in changing our behaviors, we'll not be able to change and create sustainable change, behavioral change. Okay, so you're going to uncover what is the part of you that is wanting to protect you from something that it is afraid of, and that's the diagnostic of this tool. Now that you see your immune system, what can you do that you are no longer, so that you're no longer at the mercy of that immune system? What can you do that will basically begin to untangle yourself from your own immune system? This is the promise and the intention of this particular methodology that's used widespread across the organizational world, particularly in the States. It's to help you see deeply into the inner landscape, and also to give you the tools so that you are able to basically reconstruct that inner landscape. You have got the power, as you've seen through our last webinars on mindset, etc. The power is with you to change your mindset. You'll have a partner from your team, your organization. If you're going to bring this into your organization, for this evening, you'll have a partner from this learning group, and who in an organization or a personal setting, you meet through the unfolding of the process. And that's how myself and Cindy met. This particular methodology will make important transformations in your life, personally and professionally. So you come equipped with 3 things: the improvement goals, the map, and the roadmap. You'll be consulting the roadmap as a guide as you go. So you select a high quality personal growth goal, review principles and criteria for creating your goal that you have there in your hand, and choose the right questions to ask yourself when selecting your goal. There's your change map. There's the roadmap, and look at column 1, because this is just a taster, and be guided by the actual criteria. What's the one thing that, if I could get significantly better at, it would help me to be a better version of myself? So the offer, it can be used in many other areas: improving your ability to receive critical feedback, delegating more in order to move an initiative forward, creating a healthy work-life balance, having more courageous conversations, moving more collaboratively within the group, and developing healthier eating habits and exercise habits even. So now I'm going to hand over to Cindy. Now I'm going to stop sharing for the moment, and I'm going to hand over to Cindy. And Cindy.
Excuse me, I had to go get something. All right.
Are you okay now to?
Yes, I'm fine.
Start delivering? Okay. I'll move the screens on for you. Okay.
Thank you.
All right. Okay. Okay, Cindy.
All right, thank you.
Not at all.
So I hope you enjoyed that, the breakout space. I certainly did. part of the thing that is so interesting about this process is that we are, caring about what we need and what other people need. And that's a growing model of effectiveness that is in this century. Keeping it real and embracing the mindlessness as well as the mindfulness, which also sounds rather fluffy, but there are real statistics behind it. If anyone believes it or not, more than 90% of the time, you're in autopilot. So you might drive to the store and back and not really remember anything on the way. And being 90% of the time in your autopilot means that a lot of the time you are spent in the past, in the future, and not in the present moment, which is also very difficult for the workplace. 95% of the thoughts you have today, you also had yesterday. We are totally repeating all of the things that we think about every day. So 46.9% of the time, your attention is wandering somewhere else, often into the neighborhood of worry, self-doubt, and self-deprecation, which is also a very interesting thing about being effective. Any of those wandering things are part of the difficulty of being, bringing your best performance. Oops. So 3 principles for managing the inner game. What are you experiencing inside right now? In constant state of flux. All right, this inside experience is something that you do with your own brain. And you decide, how am I experiencing this? And not just what am I experiencing? Accept your inner experience. And it has profound implications for quality of life and humanity. Redirect attention to what nourishes. That means if you are thinking right now about what I am telling you, think about what kind of reactions you're having in your body, thinking about how this is really has something to do with you and your own emotional state. Practice asking questions. What is happening in my body? What am I constructing as my experience? And what do I perceive being my choices? These are all possibilities to break out of the autopilot and be able to realize what other possibilities that you can actively partake in the now instead of going to the past or the future, so that you have different choices of being focused and here right now. So mindfulness about, okay, that's right. So
I'm sorry about that.
It's okay. Mindfulness about being aware and how we construct emotional intelligence. So we have 3 zones. Jeremy talks about 3 zones that are really interesting. There's the red zone, the attack, defend, avoid, escape. There's a green zone, the zone of flourishing, and the black zone, freeze, shut down, and burnout. And of course, we all want to be in the green zone, the zone of flourishing. So he has definite definitions about all of these 3 zones and how they work on the nervous system. The red zone is one I'm totally familiar with. All you have to do is read down some of the possibilities that you experience during this time: frustration, impatience, meaning blaming some other people; nonstop hamster wheel, meaning going to the cheeseburgers or the chocolate; hard to sleep or relax, going to the axis; muscle tension, short fuse; tunnel vision, hypervigilance; poor decision-making, racing thoughts; impulsive actions, chronic pain; short-term view, worry; irritability, anger and rage; and panic. So this is something that that all of us experience often enough. So what's the other zone? What are the other zones with the black zone? The flip side of the red zone is the black zone. meaning that it's a freeze, a shutdown, a burnout, giving in, giving up, low heart rate, delay, avoid, ignore, deny, sadness, disconnection, apathy, depression, immune system malfunction, exhaustion, poor digestion, low energy, why bother, deadness, don't want to get out of bed. And both of these zones are exist in all of our lives. And being able to realize which zone I'm in is part of the important experience. So of course I want to be in the green zone. Who doesn't? Be able to sleep well, relaxed, be energized, be patient, feeling safe, being confident, spacious feelings towards others and myself, being calm, engaged, a broad perspective, being curious, humorous, fun, flexible, easy to be with, peaceful, adaptable, woo. You know, that's a big offer. And it's hard to be in that green zone. And that's why there's a flowing line. It's not a simple line, it's a flowing line, realizing that we do go in and out of all of these zones depending on what's going on. And part of the practice and fun is just to be able to see how often we can balance in that green zone. Successful leaders make space for emotion. So nurturing the green zone, here I am. This is my passion. I love to do it. I worked long enough in the university to realize that most of my colleagues and myself were in the red zone. So I have enjoyed doing just exactly that, practicing these things for being in the green zone. And one of the things being in the green zone is breathing. And we've done it with 2 other offers that we've done so far. And I'd like to lead you again in another breathing session. And it's just so simple, but it is something that we do on autopilot usually. And one of the things that we do on autopilot, anyway, from the statistics said, is that we usually breathe through our mouth. And breathing through your mouth means that you are not filtering your air and your oxygen as well. It should be filtered and warmed before it gets to your lungs. That's only done through your nose. So I hear someone already coughing, just breathing in a more mindful way. That's a good sign. So breathing through the nose on the in-breath and breathing through the mouth on the out-breath creates the following, that you take in your oxygen in the optimal way. And instead of taking in so many in-breaths through your mouth during the day, you give more air out on this exercise so that you really do allow your lungs to relax and your body relaxes. It goes to your parasympathetic nerve and it says to your parasympathetic nerve while you're breathing, I'm fine. And so we're going to be doing this as a practice. Find a comfortable place on your chair and your feet, both of your feet are on the ground. And just give this breathing exercise your full attention and find a good place for both hands on your upper thighs and breathe in through your nose and a long breath out through your mouth. And that also is a sign. How long can you breathe out? How long do you allow yourself to breathe out? You count to 4 with breathing in, and you count to 8, 12, or more breathing out. Try it again. Very good. And if you try the Ujjayi breathing, where you breathe out through your mouth, you make a small noise so that you can listen to your own breath. Listen to your own breath by breathing out as if you're playing a wind instrument. Breathe in again and out. And if you don't breathe out as long as I do, don't worry. I practice all the time. And so now the next breath we're going to be doing differently. And this is for office people who sit in the office and look at the computers all day, like you and me. And raise both arms over your head and reach towards the sky. Long, long arms. And we'll do another in-breath and out. The next in-breath, even longer, the fingers even closer to the ceiling. And the next in-breath as high as you can. And slowly bring your arms down. And slowly feel what your body has to tell you. I have warm, tingly fingers. My shoulders feel warm, and I'm not as stiff up at my shoulders. So that's one of the many exercises with the breathing technique that are definitely very fun and good for any type of workplace. Thank you for participating.
Not at all. Thank you, Cindy. Thank you for that. So, Cindy, I'll take you on to the next screen now. If you would like to explain what it is that you do to support people personally, professionally as well.
Yes, I have offers in these 4 areas right now. The first one is online coaching one-to-one. Choose professional support for these complex areas of self-compassion practices, awareness practices, recognizing and handling difficult emotions, managing difficult negotiations with others, working on desired life changes and career opportunities, which will boost creativity and joy. The second one is meditation practices. Imagine learning the ability to have more control over your own emotions at work and home. Tap into a new mental space of well-being from which you and everyone else will profit. Breathing exercises. Nothing is more essential to our health and well-being than breathing. Take air in, let it out, and repeat 25,000 times a day. Yet, as a species, humans have lost the ability to breathe correctly, with grave consequences. Learn techniques and mindsets to boost your health, resilience, and self-confidence, and get back into the green zone. Body and breath. Work for the office and home office. Daily sitting and long hours in a few certain positions lead to neck, shoulder pain, headaches, back problems, high blood pressure, and poor blood circulation. Start your day with 60 minutes body and breath practices that you can learn and independently use to increase your health and well-being.
Okay, thank you, Cindy. That sounds very, very interesting. So Cindy is based in Essen in Germany, and does a lot of this work both with individuals and with corporates at the moment. How can THC Consult help you? So I run a program called Capital Quest. I work with C-suite and senior executive coaching, incorporating upskilling to ensure cutting-edge performance, heightened engagement, and productivity. I do standard and bespoke packages and staff training on request. You can book a call anytime. I do career coaching, career progression across the lifespan, from onboarding to strategically planning career moves, setting up a business, including rebooting and reinventing post-redundancy. I have this webinar series is part of my Wired for Success offering, managing hiring campaigns, personnel selection and assessment, workforce talent auditing, matching talent to the task, incorporating psychometric testing, road mapping your well-being journey, face-to-face and online work done there, and then workplace culture audit. So I can do pre-merger or post-COVID-19, anchoring culture in a hybrid setting. Culture, your company's internal compass. What's the temperature like at the moment? So all sorts of psychometric tools, etc., that I use. That is just a taste of some of the stuff I do. I have a whole suite, a library of talks, presentations, training that I offer companies. I offer organizations such as education institutes, first level, second level, and third level. And if an employer is noticing a particular area he or she wants focus on, I devise bespoke training and workshops for them to be delivered in person or face-to-face, or online. And our offering together, myself and Cindy, with this immunity to change mapping, you only got a taste of it today, really. But we work with individuals and groups in applying the immunity to change to a variety of personal and professional change goals, such as improving your ability to receive critical feedback. And that is a huge one. Delegating in order to move an initiative forward. Creating a healthier work-life balance, and that new term work-life integration that seems to be taking over from the former notion of work-life balance, because in work-life balance, work always seemed to be winning. And having a more courageous conversations with each other in the workplace and with management, and even having more courageous conversations in your own personal life, working more collaboratively within a group, and developing healthier, easier eating and exercise habits. So now that takes me back to the question and answers that we have a little bit of time for. I'm sorry if you found the immunity to change mapping a little bit rushed there towards the end, but breakout rooms sometimes go that way. So Cindy, I'm going to take the spotlight off you now. I'm going to remove the pen, and let's have your observations in relation to the immunity to change mapping and to the work on the zones that Cindy has just done with you. Can you see room or space for these in your life? And how do you think you might like to proceed with it? The immunity to change mapping, for instance, is that a new concept to you, or had you come across it before? Would anybody like to contribute? Just unmute yourself and start the conversation for the last while of this webinar.
Well, Teresa, if I can just come in, I missed your immunity to change, and I'm really, really disappointed I did. But
not at all.
The zones, I mean, it's so easy to be in that red zone. Like it's so easy that it's work to pull yourself out. And I can see it. Cindy, I just love the way you have it mapped out there, because it's so obvious, but you need it. You need it displayed in front of your eyes to see it. I really think that. And I mean, there's so many things, like, you know, the healthy eating for me, the not getting enough exercise, the just all of that, it's there, but it's to see it and to pull yourself out. I love the breathing exercise because I actually felt a lot better after stretching my arms to the ceiling. And it's so simple. It's so simple. But it's so necessary, you know, because you just forget. And it, again, but if you're concentrating on the breathing, it stops you thinking about the stuff that you're supposed to be doing, and it'll always be there, all that stuff. thankfully I'm okay. I'm not in the black zone, but you know, I'm in the red zone a lot. Yeah.
Yeah.
And I'm going to work to pull myself out of it.
And
Yeah.
that is, it's the nature of modern day work life and the
Mm.
nature of modern day life, isn't it? I've taken these, a copy of these zones, and I have them here on my notice board in my office, and I look at them every so often. It's good to have a visual reminder, you know?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's what I
I
was
agree.
going to ask, Lisa. Is it possible to get a copy of that to put up in the office?
I'll
in
send
front
it
of
to you.
the kids?
I will, of course. I'll send it to you.
Yeah.
I'll send it to you.
Yeah,
Yes.
thank you. The zones, just
Not at all.
remind yourself to look at them.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Would anybody else like to make a comment?
A handout with, you know, kind of, you had it on screen as in kind of how to break down the different steps.
Mhm.
Would that be possible?
Yes, absolutely, absolutely. I'll do an overview of these slides for you. You'll be getting your recording anyway, and I have my graphics guy who works with me, and he tidies up the recording and puts it up on YouTube, and we send you the link.
Oh,
And
perfect. You know, just the ITC roadmap, like that little, you know, even
yes,
to have one of those that you could write away on it.
brilliant.
Okay.
Brilliant. I
Thank you.
sent, if you look in your inbox, I'd say you already have a copy of it. I sent the roadmap, I sent the actual blank map, and I sent the sheet on the goal setting. That's just the start of it. I mean, it's quite an in-depth procedure as you go, and it's brilliant to work with an accountability partner working with it. It's the only way it works, really. But, you know, even if you had a group in the workplace that were interested in it, we'd be happy to guide you along on it. And it's highly, highly effective.
Appreciate that. Thank you. I will look in my inbox again.
Okay, Evelyn.
Well, it's been wonderful. Thank you for the active participation.
Yeah, it is really enjoyable. Now that we're here together, I want to ask you, does this time suit you? We were doing 1 to 2, the sort of lunch and learn, and I started getting requests for 4 to 5 in the evening because people, particularly who were working at the 1 to 2, didn't get to come in as often as they wanted to. Would you have preferred 1 to 2? What do you think?
No.
No?
No.
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 4 to
That's
5
fine.
is much
4 to
better.
5.
Yeah. 4 to 5 is great.
Right. Okay. What do you think, Cindy?
It's not possible for me on Thursdays. Maybe we can find another day.
Yeah.
But we can certainly talk about it. I have to excuse myself. I have to go on to a yoga meeting tonight. So I'm saying goodbye, and thank you very much, Teresa. It was great planning and doing this with you.
Hey, lovely, Cindy. I'll go on ahead with the last slide as you leave. So you just leave now, and we'll catch up, Cindy.
Okay.
And thank you so much.
All right.
Thank you.
Goodbye.
Okay. Thank you.
Bye.
Cindy,
Bye-bye.
thank you.
Bye. Bye-bye.
So this is the recommended reading, That Immunity to Change book by Keegan and Lahey is very good. And in it, you will get some very, very good actual examples. And it's through reading the examples from others, etc., that it gathers more meaning. I can go more in depth into that whole process with you myself, and Cindy can do it with you. We can do it with a group, even if you were to get a group of friends together. You know, I mean, we have reading clubs, we have all sorts of things where people get together. And the convenience of Zoom now, if you wanted to get a group of friends together, that we would both come in and work with you and go right through it with you, right through all the columns and explain it to you, it's amazing what it can do for you in terms of your learning. Then Leading Change by Cotter. Then the Mindful Self-Compassion Workbook, that's in print. Neff is huge on self-compassion. And there's a talk that we may do in the new year on self-compassion. We're awfully hard on ourselves. And in being so hard on ourselves, we do ourselves an injustice, really, you know, and particularly if you're in a caring profession, you're giving, and you're always last on the list. And sometimes our professions are very like home life and motherhood and all of these things, and fatherhood and all these things that happen in our lives. So we're always last on the list. So self-compassion, is an area to look at. Then for Cindy's area, Cindy's speciality, breath, that's a lovely book, The New Science of a Lost Art, because of our busy lifestyles. And then breathe. So watch this space for more webinars. Meanwhile, if you want to chat, please just get in touch with us. You can go in on LinkedIn. I'd advise every one of you to go in and create a LinkedIn profile and get yourselves in there on LinkedIn, because you meet such interesting people. You pick up so much stuff. It keeps you in vogue with what's out there and what's going on in other sectors of life. You get to link in with people who are really interesting and form friendships. And it's amazing. I thought it very strange. The first LinkedIn real connection I had, I met him, a businessman, I met him in person, maybe about after the second lockdown. And it was amazing. It was like just carrying on the conversation. We have really gotten to work well together. And I thought, this is going to be strange, meeting this person in face-to-face now to nail down some other stuff that we were going to work on. But it was really like carrying on the conversation. So it really worked well, you know. So I'll just go, I'll show you one more screen if you want to take a shot of this, if you want to get in touch with either of us. And I'd love to hear from you. Okay, that's our details. Give me a buzz anytime. This is great. I just love interacting with you. And, you know, I've come up with the phrase, learning hoarded is growth denied. I'm on this journey of learning, and I love sharing what I'm learning with you. So it's amazing the people you meet through the different programs, like the Inner MBA that I've done and that I'm doing for a second time, because of the nature of the people I meet.